Hey guys, good evening. I just wanted to come to you with this message here today. We're going to talk about the topic of leadership. What is in the Christian leader's wardrobe? Well, we're going to look at that topic, but first we're going to go over a few announcements. First things first is we're going to talk about the topic of camp. Camp is still going on. Now, our original plan to go to Liberty University has been canceled, but we are going to plan a similar style to what we did last year, location to be determined. But with that in mind, also keep in mind, just like last year, we're going to vote on the camp t-shirt. So just like last year, we are going to have the first round, pick your top two. Thank you for those who have already given me input, but then next week we'll narrow it down and vote between the two most popular ones. And so we're going to go ahead and go forward with that. Also, keep in mind, the ladies' Bible study will begin with Kim. With Kim starting is going to begin this Friday. So please keep that in mind and attend that. And so, on to our lesson and topic for today. We're all presented with this question: what makes a good leader? That's a very broad subject. What makes a good leader? The world around us is always looking for leaders. They are looking for leaders. Doesn't matter where you go. Doesn't matter if you're in the military. Doesn't matter if you're in the church. Doesn't matter if you're in a Fortune 500 company. Doesn't matter if you're in government. Doesn't matter where you go. Leadership is something that's sought out. Every organization needs leadership. If an organization doesn't have leadership, they're set up for failure. It's a basic fact of life. Even some of you right now who are in school, teams need leadership. Organizations, clubs need leadership. No matter where you go, leadership is needed. It is something that the world desires and something that every Christian should strive to be. Now, some of you are wondering, well, not everybody is a leader. Well, that's not necessarily true. It just depends on how you define leader. And so, not everybody's are going to be a leader in every situation, right? Situations obviously demand different types of mentalities. But for the Christian, we should all be leaders in one sense, and that is leading people to Christ. But leaders come in all shapes and sizes. They come in different looks, all right? Not every leader is this motivational speaker type person. Not everybody leads by example in this sense. But think now about what you would say you desire in a leader. What are important leadership qualities? See, when we think about that question, I'm sure a lot of things come to mind. But I'm pretty sure pretty much all of us would put this on our list. Character, integrity, credibility. All three of those go together. But of those qualities, that is essential. Because it doesn't matter the leadership style you have. You can always have character, credibility, and integrity. But character, it's so important. In fact, so much that in his book, Conviction to Lead, Dr. Albert Mohler writes this: character is indispensable to credibility, and credibility is essential to leadership. But now let's think about some of the people that we would call great leaders. I started browsing the internet for this and just wanted to see what everybody else in the world was kind of saying. The names that popped up were Abraham Lincoln, Ronald Reagan, Nelson Mandela, Mahatma Gandhi, the Apostle Paul, Martin Luther King, FDR, Theodore Roosevelt, George Washington. You know, when you look at those leaders, they have something in common. Most of them are pretty much known for having pretty good character, at least in the eyes of the world. No matter where you go, leadership demands character. If you are a leader, you'll have character. They go hand in hand. What makes a great leader? Well, one who is credible, one you can trust. Think about it. Why would you follow somebody who has no credibility? It makes no sense. Not every leader is going to have X, Y, and Z qualities. But if you're truly a leader and you're truly going to make an impact, a positive change, then you will have good character, integrity, and credibility. And so let's turn into our Bibles to our passage for today. We're going to be looking at Proverbs 22:1. It's a very short proverb, but it's a very wise verse. All right, this falls into the wisdom literature of the Bible. All right, it's Proverbs 22:1, and we can just look at this first verse to know how important character is. A good name is to be chosen rather than riches, and favor is better than silver or gold. See, the Bible right here highlights the importance of good character. It is to be more desired than gold or silver. You can have all the money in the world, that doesn't mean you're a good leader. You can have all the money in the world, that doesn't mean you're going to be liked. That doesn't mean you're going to be respected. Simply put, a good leader is not necessarily defined by their financial success or having a ton of money. In fact, those factors generally have very little to do with what it means to be a good leader. And so the first point we're going to see today is that character is indispensable. See, when someone messes up and they fall down, it usually takes a long time to get back up. Doesn't matter what your financial success is, doesn't matter, all right? Your reputation is going to be altered for so many times. Look at the amount of people who you can point to and say, well, they have money, but do they have character? How many times have we seen people who get money now get changed by that? How many times have you seen a story of someone who's won the lotto, changed, went out, and wasted all that money away? All right? So money can change people. Well, one of good character, they don't change. But we have to understand, too, why it's so important to have a good reputation. Money can come and go. See, over the course of your life, your financial situation's not going to be the same. One year, it's going to be very stable, probably. And then another year, you could be struggling, scraping by. Well, what do you still have in those moments? Well, you can still have your reputation. But your reputation is something that can be lost overnight. One ill deed or a series of ill deeds can completely tarnish your name. I think a very prominent example of this would be Tiger Woods. Through the late 90s and the early 2000s, you would find probably no more popular of a name than Tiger Woods, outside perhaps Michael Jordan. Tiger Woods was all over. He was on cereal boxes. He covered the Wheaties covers. He was in the EA games. He was the face of golf. He made golf a bit exciting for people who felt that golf was just this boring game. Over that time, Tiger had developed this reputation, not only being of a great golfer, but being a bit of a family man. Well, that all came crumbling down when his reputation took a hit in 2009. And so this wholesome family man now kind of has some doubt thrown on him. He was shown to be human. He was shown to have flaws. And this came crashing down with his history of infidelity. And so no longer was he receiving these countless sponsors. No longer were people wanting to say, hey, we got to get Tiger on the cover of this. You would literally walk many places, and it would be very hard to walk through a store from end to end and not see the face of Tiger Woods. But as those sponsors went away, he went on a hiatus from golf. Now, Tiger Woods has since reemerged onto the golf scene, but he's nowhere near the impact, the status he once had. Even in some people's mind, that still lingers in the back of their head of the things he did. He's not the same talent he was. He doesn't have the same sponsors he did. He's nowhere near. Though his life's no longer in disarray, it took many years for him to work himself back to where he is today. And it just goes to show that when one's reputation is tarnished, it takes so much time to get that back. But there's many other examples of this, and Tiger's just one of many. Once a reputation is damaged, it takes years to get back. Well, it's not impossible to do. Many continue to remember that past. Many continue to look and say, hey, Yeah, they've changed now, but maybe it's just a matter of time before they do this again. All right? This mentality is lingering, and leadership demands trust. If you don't have good character, if you don't have credibility, then how are people going to trust you? If one does not have good character, then, well, again, your desire to serve under them, it's very much limited. Why would you want to serve this person? But yet, now let's look at it again from the Christian angle. When it comes to leading people to Christ, your reputation is huge. Dr. John MacArthur states that sometimes you are the only Bible somebody's ever going to read. Well, we have to see, if you live your life contrary to the gospel, why are people going to believe that Christianity is the one way? Why are people going to believe that this is the way I should live my life? They're going to look at people with a hypocritical standard. But a perfect example of one who started off their faith with a bad reputation, but became the most influential Christian figure, perhaps, in all of human history. The Apostle Paul, going into his conversion, he had a bad reputation. And so Paul gives us an example here of those of you who might be sitting here, well, my reputation's not great. Well, it doesn't have to stay that way. If you sit here and you're thinking, as I'm hearing these things, well, maybe, I want to be a leader. I want to have these qualities. Well, it's not too late. The Apostle Paul is a perfect example of this. You are all young. And so we can look at Paul's life. See, he was one that had a bad reputation, leading insurrection, hated Christians, wanted to get rid of them, or putting them to death. But if we look at Acts 9 here, we can also see that people were a little bit fearful of him. In Acts 9, we see people feared him. If it wasn't for Barnabas standing up for him, he would have faced even more troubles, even more issues. And so we can see here, Barnabas stood up for him, but it did not stop there, because the rest of his life was going out and proving that that endorsement that Barnabas had put upon him was actually correct. And so it took him many years to win over people. You would find even in some of his letters, people even kind of brought it up. Hey, weren't you that guy that used to... And so we can see here, a bad reputation can follow you, but it's able to be fixed. And so we can sit here and see that it starts by trusting Christ. That's the first step. You have to trust Christ, because it's going to lead to the only true change you can find in yourself. 2, find a mentor. All right, find one that's going to disciple you and hold you accountable. And then 3, live consistently for Christ. And that's how, the simplest way you can fix a bad reputation. But it also shows us that when we live for Christ, as leaders, we have to see our ability to lead is not based on money or different factors. It is based on the fact that we must live to change people's lives for the glory of God. The second thing we can see in this matter is that Christian leaders' end is not about making money. It's about transforming lives, leading people to Christ. And so when we look at the most influential people, the people who have had some of the biggest impacts in our lives, we're not thinking of the people who are these massive celebrities. No, generally speaking, the people who have the greatest impact in our lives are generally not even rich, at least in the monetary sense. We generally call them mom, dad, teacher, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, pastor, friend. See, we have a much bigger purpose in life than getting money. If any of you have seen the movie Facing the Giant, there's this great line. And so the main character is stating, he says, the more I read this book, the Bible, the more I realize that life is not about us. We are not to get glory, make money, and die. See, if we look at that quote, we can see that your life is not defined by the money you make, but by the character of your life and the way you live your life. If money is so important, the Bible would be full of people who are wealthy and of this huge status. But those people are few in the Bible. Again, I'm not saying money prevents you from being a good leader, but your goal as a leader should not be to make money. Money can only buy so much, but character goes so much further. It cannot buy respect. Money cannot buy respect. It cannot buy yourself a reputation. It cannot buy friends. It cannot buy family. It cannot buy love. Money, it can win you fans and followers, but it is useless when the day is over to win you friends. See, it may win you a friend here and there. It may win you a disciple here and there, but what's the quality of those? What are they really in it for? The fact, if we look at some of the greatest leaders of all time, money wasn't the thing that defined them. It was how they lived their life. But now let's look to the greatest leader of all time, Jesus. Jesus, in his earthly ministry, had almost no money. If we look at this, again, we can see that it was the integrity, the way he lived his life, his earthly perfection. We could see in Matthew 8:20, it says, "Foxes have holes and birds have the air and have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head." Many times throughout his ministry, Jesus was, in fact, homeless. This is not about obtaining financial success. And nowhere is financial success at the top of what it means to be a successful leader. When money's stripped away, what does someone have? It's their word, it's their reputation, it's their character. There's a reason why every time you watch a movie, people talk about how important a man's word is. People talk about what it means to be this and the other. Being a jerk to someone does not get you anywhere. Flashing money around doesn't do anything. It doesn't make people want to follow you. Favor is not something that can be bought, especially godly favor. You cannot buy favor from God. I mean, what do you have to offer that God does not already have? But you can represent it. And you can do so through your character and by leading people to him. See, how much you make in this life, how much money you make, it's almost irrelevant. Plenty of people have found happiness with very little money. And countless people have found emptiness and depression through great wealth because they do not have true fulfillment. And so that's why it's so important for us as Christians to lead people to Christ, because that's the only source of fulfillment we can truly have. The world is looking for great leaders. Just about every college paints this picture of developing leaders. Companies seek it out. More importantly, God is looking for leaders. Leaders who don't lead like the world would expect sometimes. Christian leaders' ultimate end, again, is glorifying God. We can see countless examples of young leaders in the Bible. Many without great wealth, but none without character. They faced many challenges in their life. They've made some major decisions. And so that leads us to our third point. Money is about self. Character is about the whole. And so when we look at what it means to be a leader, a good leader is not worried about themselves, but they are worried about advancing the group. So we're not talking about people who think they're leaders. See, a lot of people say they're leaders, but they're really not. But the people who other people really want to listen to. It's not so much about what you have done, but what the group has done. One that's focused on money. They only think about themselves and how they can get more. And when a Christian leader, they lead by integrity and character. See, it means that they are spreading this to the group. It's infectious. Back to Dr. Moeller again. He says leaders of character produce organizations of character because character, like conviction, it's infectious. Followers are drawn to those whose characters attract them as someone or something they want for themselves. Christian leaders are not simply called to be leaders, but positive leaders. We can see people lead people astray. It doesn't take any particular set of skill. And it actually requires no character. But positive change. Change that the world needs, change that the world seeks, demands that we have character. Plenty of people have led, but no positive leadership occurs without character. The pursuit of leadership, we find that many people can sell out their souls. Matthew 16:26 tells us, "For what does it profit a man if he gains the whole world and forfeits his soul? Or what shall a man give in return for his soul?" Today, we watch the news. Everything seems to be about choosing a leader. These are important questions to consider. For the Christian, it's not about pleasing oneself, but it's about pleasing God. As we look back to Proverbs 22:1, a favor is better than silver or gold. This isn't just talking again about earthly favor or favor among other people. It's about godly favor. No mask you put on can block your intentions. This favor is eternal. It's everlasting. It's more valuable than anything you could ever have. Godly favor. Will you surround yourselves with this through your faith, but then also lead other people to it? See, favor only comes through true faith. True faith demands that we lead people to Christ. So I ask you again as we start to wrap up, what goes into being a great leader? What makes people follow someone as a leader? How can you become the leader God wants you to be? See, this is what you're going to be challenged with the next few Sundays. Will you be those young leaders who are not afraid to be different? Will you be the ones who proclaim and lead people to Christ? While many proclaim that they can lead, no one can truly lead without character. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, I just pray over this message right now. Lord, I pray that it reaches each and every of these students. Lord, will you just surround each of them and guide them to the ways that they can lead in their community and the world around them. Lord, though we may not lead in every situation, Lord, when the opportunities are there for them to lead, Lord, I pray that they will just step up and answer the call. Lord, please, Lord, just let this message just allow them to see the importance of character and honoring you, Lord. Lord, I pray that this message reaches each and every one of their hearts, and Lord, that you would transform them into the leaders and the individuals that you have designed them to be. Lord, this we thank you in Jesus' mighty name. Amen. Once again, thank y'all for watching. See y'all soon. All right, have a good night.